The only way I found with the mushroom is, first of all, to rave a lot while you're stoned and to have a tape recording going and then to play it back. And then when you hear it, you say, oh yes, when I was saying that, I was thinking this, this, and this. But retention of it, like I say, the whole thing is retention. A person who could retain a single 20-minute burst of psilocybin hallucinations would just have cornered the graphic arts market for the rest of this century. And why is that, and how could it be possible? We work so hard to produce outlandish images, and yet we fall so far short. Everything moves very slowly because there is so much momentum. You know, I can't remember what futurist said it, but one of them said, 90% of the future is already existent in the present. These 1984 automobiles, many of them will be around in 10 years. Any picture of a city street 10 years from now must include those automobiles. And us, most of us will be around. We're the main thing holding back the future. That's why I'm so baffled by people like Robert Anton Wilson who are so concerned to live forever. I mean, do you want to be around in 500 years, a gaping Neanderthal who spends their time in city parks looking out at what's going on? No, I think it's just better to move off the plane and make way for other people. Anyway, death, I won't say death doesn't frighten me, but I certainly think I have a place for it in my cosmology. I'm pretty excited by it. I never thought I would come to the position that the mind could survive physical death, but more and more I think that's probably true. It's amazing how little is known about the mind. I mean, see, psychology is entirely a kind of a scam. At the close of the 19th century, when feeling the bumps on people's heads got ruled out, they got sent out of the tent. And astrology got sent out of the tent. Those guys were no longer allowed. And occultists, they got sent out of the tent. But Freud was a pretty shrewd cookie, and he got his medical degree before he embarked on this stuff. And he managed to get them under the tent. And so they're scientists, But my God, their science is just a shot in the dark. No matter what form of psychotherapy you practice, 1/3 get better, 1/3 get worse, 1/3 stay the same. So, most sciences are expected to define under what conditions they would abandon their premises. And we've never been able to get Marxists or Freudians to belly up to the bar and actually tell us under what conditions would you agree to say you're wrong. And so it's not a science at all. It's a kind of a pseudoscience being practiced as a science. We are not even in a position to say that the brain has very much of a relationship to thought. All these electroencephalographic studies are very, very crude. I mean, they say, well, a certain form of awareness has a certain electrical signature. But going from that to saying that the brain generates the mind, we can't be sure, I mean, I always ask, is the mind the piano, or is it Horowitz? And if the mind is Horowitz, what are we going to learn about the mind by tearing up the piano?
Or is it the music?
Or is it the music? And
the mind is all of those. It's not located.
It's not located. And in what relationship it stands to the brain is very hard to say, and in what relationship it stands to the individual is very hard to say.
I think the brain is there for when the mind has grunt work to do.
Yes, well, I think it's like a piano. The mind leans over and plays the keys, and then something happens. But I think psychology needs to return to a pure Baconian method. And by that I mean, let's go back and collect facts, as many facts as we can, millions of them, and wait for an idea to come along about what all these facts mean. But the current situation in psychology is apparently that anything goes. I mean, Freudians believe one thing, Reichians something diametrically opposed, all these humanistic and transpersonal and human potential things. Some people say it's musculature, other people say it's birth trauma, other people say it's genetics, other people say it's linguistic cueing, and nobody can present a proof of their position sufficient to quiet these other points of view. So that means it's in a pre-paradigm phase, and it's much too early for them to have been allowed inside the big tent of science. Of course, this is frustrating. We like to think we're an advanced society, and certainly thinking is the most advanced phenomenon in the universe, open for our inspection. It's too humbling for us to say, well, we can't think about thinking. We must wait 100 or 200 years. So many things work that it seems like we're still in almost the shamanic stage, or not even in the shamanic stage, since actually, I think in terms of cure rate and that sort of thing, folk psychiatry is probably way out in front of what urban psychoanalysts are able to deliver as a cure rate. And there may be many factors impinging on that. Certainly pre-literate cultures have very consistent and cohesive consensus that when someone falls out of that consensus, maybe they can be returned to it more easily than in a pluralistic society where you usually don't have your consensus restored. You're usually told to just become a different person, you know. I mean, for instance, in pre-literate societies, if you have a religious crisis and say you no longer want to believe in the tribal god, you're not offered then a smorgasbord of religious options. You're told that you will believe in the tribal god.